The book title is A Tale of Two Cities, and the writer is Charles Dickens.
Page is?
Page 204.
Start, please.
Himself always before him, as a silent protest against the delusion into which he had fallen or was falling. He remained, therefore, in his seat near the window, reading and writing, and expressing in as many pleasant and natural ways as he could think of that it was a free place. Dr. Manette took what was given him to eat and drink, and worked on. The first day, until it was too dark to see, worked on. Half an hour after, Mr. Lorry could not have seen, for his life, to read or write. When he put his tools aside as useless until morning, Mr. Lorry rose and said to him, "Will you go out?" He looked down at the floor on either side of him in the old manner, looked up in the old manner, and repeated in the old low voice, "Out? Yes, for a walk with me. Why not?" He made no effort to say why not, and said not a word more. But Mr. Lorry thought he saw, as he leaned forward on his bench in the dusk, with his elbows on his knees and his head in his hands, that he was in some misty way asking himself, "Why not?" The sagacity of the man of business perceived an advantage here and determined to hold it. Miss Pross and he divided the night into 2 watches and observed him at intervals from the adjoining room. He paced up and down for a long time before he lay down, but when he did finally lay himself down, he fell asleep. In the morning he was up betimes and went straight to his bench and to work. On this second day, Mr. Lorry saluted him cheerfully by his name, and spoke to him on topics that had been of late familiar to them. He returned no reply, but it was evident that he heard what was said, and that he thought about it, however confusedly. This encouraged Mr. Lorry to have Miss Pross in with her work, several times during the day. At those times they quietly spoke of Lucy and of her father then present, precisely in the usual manner, and as if there were nothing amiss. This was done without any demonstrative accompaniment, not long enough or often enough to harass him, and delighted Mr. Lorry's friendly heart to believe that he looked up.
Storytelling for us, 조시.
So the first, I'll give you the basic information of this page. In this page now, there are 3 main characters: Dr. Manette, Mr. Lorry, and Miss Pross. Dr. Manette is an old man, and he had been in jail, the Bastille prison in France, for 18 years. And now he got out of the jail, and he is living with his lovely daughter, Lucy Manette. And Mr. Lorry is an old friend of Dr. Manette, and he is a banker. He's working for Telson's Bank, which has 2 branches in London and in Paris. And the last one, Miss Pross, is a servant, so she's working for Dr. Manette and Lucy Manette, and living with them. And please look at the first line, first paragraph. So himself always before him, as a silent protest against the delusion into which he had fallen or was falling. In this sentence, the keyword is delusion. So delusion means a false belief about yourself or the situation you are in. So now Dr. Manette is falling into the delusion that now he is in jail, even though he's in his house and he's free. So he is falling into delusion because Lucy Manette is a very important person to Mr. Lorry, Dr. Manette, because Lucy is the only child he has and only family member he has. So Dr. Manette heavily relies on his daughter Lucy Manette, but now Lucy Manette is away from home. She is not in this house because yesterday he got married with Charles Dickens, and now they are on their honeymoon trip. So I think that's why Dr. Manette started to fall into the delusion again, because there's no one he can rely on. And the next sentence, he remained therefore in his seat near the window, reading and writing. So here he is Mr. Lorry. Instead of Lucy Manette, Mr. Lorry is staying at his house and is taking care of his old friend, Dr. Manette. And he stayed in the room and sitting in his seat and near the window, reading and writing, and expressing in as many pleasant and natural ways as he could think of that it was a free place. So now he is trying to show that here is a free place, not a jail, for Dr. Manette. Because Dr. Manette is falling into the delusion. And the next paragraph, Dr. Manette took what was given him to eat and drink. So Miss Pross, she is a servant, so she provides all the food. And Dr. Manette ate everything he got from Miss Pross and worked on the first day until it was too dark to see. And he started to working on making shoes.
Okay, may I give you extra 1 minute for you? Yes.
So when he was in jail, he spent all of his time making shoes for his daughter, and he didn't finish making shoes in the jail. So again, he started to make shoes again, because now he believes that now he's in jail, and he kept working on making shoes until it was too dark to see. In the next sentence, worked on half an hour after Mr. Lorry could not have seen. So now it's too dark. It was so dark that Mr. Lorry couldn't see and couldn't read any book. But still, Dr. Manette is making shoes. And the next one, when he put his tools aside as useless until morning, Mr. Lorry rose and said to him, "Will you go out?" And now it's dark and Dr. Manette stopped working. And when he stopped working on making shoes, Mr. Lorry rose and asked him, "Will you go out with me?"
Yes. Okay, question time.
Dr. Manette, is he has a disease of mind?
Yeah, he's suffering with mental illness, I think, because he was innocent, but he had been in jail for 18 years, even though he was innocent. And yeah,
Prisoner?
yeah, he was a prisoner, but he was innocent. He didn't commit any crime. So I think that's why he got mental illness.
What was your job?
He was a doctor.
What kind of doctor?
What kind of,
I think he
Medical.
treated. Yeah, I think he
Surgeon.
treated a surgeon. I think he treated some people who are suffering with mental illness. That kind of job.
Dr. Manette made shoes for his daughters. Did he meet his daughter in this space?
Yeah, now he's living. He got out of the jail, and now he's living with his daughter, and his daughter's husband, Charles Dickens, and Miss Pross, servant. Yeah.
Mr. Lorry is a rich man.
I think he has quite a lot of money, but anyway, he gets salaries from the bank, so he's a salaryman. But he, in this page, it says that Mr. Lorry has a sagacity. Sagacity means good judgment and reasonable. He think in a reasonable way always. I think he's a smart banker.
smart banker? So is he management? Dr. Manette's money?
Yeah, when Dr. Manette was in jail, Mr. Lorry managed all the properties he had, and also he took care of Lucy Manette. He didn't live with her, but because she is a daughter of his old friend.
Has he been in same condition after he getting out of jail?
Yeah, it took quite a lot of time to make him better. But anyway, Lucy Manette and old friend Mr. Lorry and also Miss Pross, all of them, they tried very hard to make his condition better. So now it's getting much better. than before.
What is adjoining room?
Adjoin means connected. So it means that next to the Dr. Manet's room. And those two rooms are connected.
There's some room
Yeah.
to connect.
Yeah.
And why is he working all day? And because he cannot see anything when he is working. Why?
We think that is very unusual behavior, but when he was in jail, there was nothing he could do. So, and he missed his family a lot. But sadly, his wife died when he was in jail, and Lucy Manet, his daughter, was the only family he had. So he missed his daughter a lot, and that's why he made shoes for his daughter in jail. And now he's in his house living with his daughter. But anyway, in this house there isn't Lucy Manet in this house now, because Lucy Manet is on his honeymoon trip. So that's why he again falls into the delusion that here is jail, because he couldn't see his daughter in his house.
Yeah. Maybe he can feel comfort only when he sees his daughter.
Yeah, because as I said, he heavily relies on his daughter Lucy Manet.
When you
But-
read this page, how do you feel?
Can you feel?
I cannot imagine, but it's very natural that he went crazy, because he was innocent, but he spent 18 years in jail, and he couldn't tell that. There's no one he could tell that he was innocent. Nobody listened to him, and away from his family.
He felt being stolen.
Being stolen.
Her daughter, okay, and is being stolen by a man, but the son-in-law, but finally stolen feeling. So right now, does Mr. Manet, the daughter, is she realized of that his father fall into the delusion again?
No, Mr. Lorry, he tried to hide his mental illness, because Lucy Manet and Charles Dickens, they're on their honeymoon trip, and they must have very pleasant time together, happy time together. So he tried to hide that Dr. Manet is sick again.
Why Mr. Rory take care of Dr.
Manet.
Manet with a friendly manner? Just friend?
Yeah, he's an old friend of Dr. Manet, but I don't remember how he got to know Dr. Manet. Maybe Dr. Manet was a customer of the bank, Telson's bank, in Paris.
So page question. So a bit I think is a boring page. So because I read this book, but why did you choose this page for your book talking?
Because through this page I can explain that how long he had been in jail, Mr. Dr. Manet, and what happened to him, and also how Mr. Lorry did his best to take care of his friend. So I can see friendship between those two characters. And also
the Mr. Lorry he's very considerate and the benevolent, and so he's very generous. He's a perfect gentleman and reasonable.
And the event happened in this page. It's very hard to imagine in our real life
Why?
because 18 years in jail.
No, nowadays, okay, there are guys, okay, who is in the jail.
Yeah. But there's
without reason.
But there's no one around me who spent more than 10 years in jail.
Mm-hmm.
So, but even though he's innocent.
So we don't know, okay, we are not sure, okay, how innocent people are in the jail without reason.
Last paragraph on the second day, Mr. Rory salty. What means salty?
In the last paragraph,
Mr. Rory salty.
saluted. Saluted. The first definition is to move your hand next to your eyebrows to show respect to someone who is in a higher rank. But in an old-fashioned meaning, it means to greet someone. To greet someone. So that means simply Mr. Lorry said hello to Dr. Manet cheerfully. Good morning, like this.
But politely.
Yeah, politely, in a polite way.
Do you like Mr. Lorry's character?
Don't you resemble his character a little bit?
I don't think so,
Why
but
did you,
I don't think so. Because Mr. Lorry has been single for a long time.
But I like it, that part.
I think now he's around 70 years old. 60, 70.
No.
Quite very old.
Very old.
Very old.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very old.
Yeah.
60, 70.
Yeah.
Very old.
Mr. Lorry?
Yeah, Mr. Lorry. He's a bank, but still he's working banker. Mr.
How do you
Lorry.
know that his age? Because I forgot. Okay, but is there some comment or mentioning about his
Yeah.
age?
Yeah, in this
Yeah.
70 was 60.
More than 60.
Oh.
Around 70, I think it's around 70.
What is the sagacity of the man?
Yeah, sagacity of the man. Here, sagacity of the man is Mr. Lorry. Sagacity means good judgment. And,
Good judgment.
Yeah, good judgment and someone who thinks in a reasonable way. Because he's a banker, and that's why he works as a banker. He makes good judgment.
Needless to let her daughter Miss Manet know this situation, okay, and this is the matter of time. Okay, come back to the normalcy of the mental situation. Sagacity, man.
How old is Lucy Manet?
Lucy Manet, quite young, 20, 21 now. She's around 20 or 21.
Why did she choose Dane?
Dane. First, he's handsome. I think he's handsome. And Charles Dane is a nobleman in Paris, in France.
And they are from the same country, France.
Yeah, first
France,
they are from the same country. Lucy Manet was born in France, and also Charles Dane is born in France. And Charles Dane, he gave up all the properties he got
in France.
in France.
What do you think about Charles Dickens?
Charles Dickens.
Yeah.
I read only 2 books of him. A Tale of Two Cities. No, I'm reading now. And Christmas Carol. Only 2 books. And when I read this book for the first time, I thought that Charles Dickens, he had a very deep knowledge in history. Because based on the historical events, real historical events, he made a great drama. And he blended those 2 different points together. So I think he's very smart and had a deep knowledge in history, especially.
Thank you.
Have you ever been fallen in delusion? Or what kind of delusion do you imagine?
Okay, it's a false belief about myself. falls below above.
You're handsome. Like that.
When I was 21, I thought I was very talented in playing the guitar and music, because I didn't go to a college of music, and I didn't go to a high school of music, but the only thing I did about music was I played the piano for 10 months and 6 months violin. But I remember when I was 21, I remembered all the basic musical theories and writing notes. So I thought I was talented in music.
But how did you escape from that?
There was a student in my club in my college, and he was studying. I think he was studying. He was computer science maybe, and one day I saw him playing the guitar, and it was the first time that I was shocked. Shocked as someone playing the guitar. So, and I asked him, so do you want to be a guitarist, professional guitarist? And he said, no, it's just my hobby. So I was very shocked, and
What you said at the time? Did you cry?
No, I didn't cry, but I was overwhelmed, and I tried to be humble again. And through the YouTube, you can see lots of videos shoot by many amateur guitarists, and most of them they play the guitar very well.
So to accept them, their talent.
Yeah.
Where is this book's background?
The title is A Tale of Two Cities, and the two cities here, they are London and Paris. So the background is London and Paris, and it's right before the French Revolution. So 1750 or 1760. So French Revolution, it broke out in 1789. So it's right before the French Revolution.
So we have now 60 minutes more, so I think the guys who haven't given a question, try to give a question where they express your any idea, comment on this book word.
Is this book tragedy story?
I think it's very hard to say it is tragedy or comedy, because
It's not a comedy.
It's not a comedy. Yeah, it's not a comedy. But I don't think I can say it's tragedy, because in the end, Sidney Carton, he sacrificed himself for Lucy Manet, but anyway, by sacrificing himself, Lucy Manet, it is possible for her to keep living with Charles Dickens. So tragedy, I don't think it is tragedy.
Why does he sacrifice for Lucy Manet?
Because he loved him a lot, adored her. He adored her a lot, loved her a lot, and he always thought that he wasted his life for a long time. He spent most of his time in gambling or drinking alcohol. But anyway, he worked very hard, but nobody respected him, and he was suffering with thinking that he wasted all of his life. So I think he wanted to do something good for someone else. So that's why he sacrificed himself.
Do you sacrifice this for your lover?
Make a lover first.
That's the first.
Depends on lovers, okay? Yeah, it depends on lovers, okay? Who she is, okay?
Lucy and Charles Darnay are in honeymoon, and was she engaged with Charles Darnay before her father is getting out, or she met Charles Darnay after he
after he got out of the jail. Because
how did she meet Charles Darnay first?
Charles Darnay, I think they met on the ship.
Yeah,
first
on
time.
the
On
boat.
the ship. Yeah, on the ship. Yeah, from Paris to London on the ship. But after he got out the jail, and the most important thing was that making her dad's condition better. So when he got out the jail, Lucy Manet, she focused on taking care of her dad first, and then they got engaged and then got married.
Is he Frenchman or Englishman? Dr. Manet?
Dr. Manet is French.
French.
Yeah, and Lucy Manet is also French. But Miss Pross and Mr. Lorry, they are British people.
In this page is a story. Where is in this page story is where is
Where is
No.
this page?
where is this page?
I think now they are living in London. They are living in London.
It's a London street and nearby the Soho Street.
Yeah, Soho Street.
Soho Street is nearby Piccadilly Street, Soho Street. But at the time, Soho Street is a little bit poor place. So I'm waiting for what the Losa, your question or comment?
Just to listen.
No, but there is our rule, okay? Give a question, that is I think. But still, okay, there is a time to think about it. Okay, please, Losa. And then, so I want to give you a hard questions. And there was the revolution by people, by exactly bourgeois in France. But why did the England and the United Kingdom, and why didn't such kind of revolution, why didn't happen in England or United Kingdom, you think?
I think because they succeeded in making balance between
Classes?
or between the royal family and the council.
The power and the kings were royal family, and the bourgeois and the soldier, and they had equal, the balanced the power. Balance. Good question. Good answer.
And still, at the time, the United Kingdom, the royal family, they spent lots of time in making their soldiers, their military soldiers, stronger to dominate to take power in Europe. However, in France, the royal family spent lots of money for themselves. So I think that is a difference between the United Kingdom and the.
And then they distributed the money, and they first started the welfare of people because they learned that. Okay, if we don't take care of people, okay, and they will make a revolution and against us. So, and the first country, the England, started the welfare for the common people, the raw people. Okay, because not for them, but be afraid of some kind of upset of the power. Yes. And then Rosa, please.
Where is free place? The first paragraph.
Yeah, in the first paragraph, the last part.
Yes.
It was a free place. So in this page, the free place means their house. Dr. Manet and Lucy Manet, their house. It's a free
It's not
place.
a jail.
It's not a jail. Yeah.
He can move. He can eat. He can do anything.
Yeah.
This is a free place. So do you have your own free place?
Yeah, my room is my free place.
Then, to me, it's my car. When there is a trouble between someone and I escape to inside my car and I nap, that is my free place.
Do you like a revolution of your life?
Revolution of my life.
Yes.
What is my revolution in my life? What do you think?
You chose here. That is revolution.
That's revolution.
You don't think so?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
revolution.
you chose here in your life, okay? Not school, high
Not
school.
school, yeah.
So that is revolution.
Yeah, no one would expect me, expect that I would choose.
So did
here.
I.